this is your 2020 Mini Countryman, John Cooper Works. Let's jump right into the perks, quirks, and irks. Mostly a carryover model from what you see on the outside, and LED day runners, LED regular lights, and your orange turn signals on the inside. There's a John Cooper Works badge, and it's a pretty safe design as far as nothing really changing. You got nice functional air vents down there. You can see right through. There you go, right through. I have no problem with the front end. I think it looks fantastic. Here's your front and quarter look. Again, carryover model, not much has changed on the outside. You get your side turn signals, not in the mirrors, but you get them just below this beautiful John Cooper Works badge right there. Wheel design, I'd like something a little simpler, maybe a classic 5-spoke. What's interesting here is there's lots of black cladding around the wheels and up top, but there's that nice thin silver strip that separates, chrome strip that separates it, plus the chrome door handle. So I think that gives it a really nice look and helps it stand out. You know, yes, it's a Mini and it's gonna stand out regardless, but that just adds a little bit to it. That's what the rear of the vehicle looks like. So it says Mini in here, and you don't get the Union Jack design like you do in some other Mini models, but still good with me. Twin tailpipes, and I like the symmetry of it, very nice. John Cooper Works badge there. Let's take a quick peek into the trunk. Power trunk, so you can either hit that or you can just wave your foot underneath it. I'm not going to wave my foot because it's going to close on my head. I'll put your cargo figures here for space with the seats up and then with the seats down, and you get a little more storage underneath there. So that's going to, oops, almost missed that. That's going to wrap it up. Let's do the one touch button to close things up. I like the design of the Countryman. It's kind of got that SUV-ish look, but it's still a Mini as far as DNA goes, and it's kind of like a big Mini. Yeah, I'm going to stay with that. It's a big Mini. All right, that's going to wrap up the outside. No real problems with it. I think it looks great. Let's take a look at the rear of the 2020 JCW Countryman. There's a surprisingly great amount of space back here, and that's due to the sliding seats. That one's set all the way back. This is set all the way forward. So a little tab under here, and you just push all the way back, and now you can see just how much space you have. I sit all the way back. Not everybody does. So if you're sitting behind me, you might get not as much space. Not as much space. You might not get as much space, but if it's somebody else, you might get an extra inch or two of leg room. And there's an option for a center armrest complete with cup holder. So we'll close that up. Pretty good, pretty comfortable. Not bad for side support for the rear seats, and not bad for thigh supports for the rear seats. Here's a quick look up front, and there's this cool one-piece racing seat. It's got the cool little mesh pattern there, and you can kind of see through just the bottom portion of it. So let's close it up. I've been waiting all week for this. All week, I tell you. Someone didn't take off the sticker, the covering, so I'm gonna do it. Love that sound. What a nice, good thing. Anyways, enough about that. Here's your seat. Really good thigh bolsters and wickedly good side bolsters. Just love it. And there's a little perk for me. John Cooper Works badging right at the top of the seat. And it's got a nice pattern as well. Between the gray, the black, and a little more black, the red stitching, very sharp. And that's what the wheel looks like. Standard stuff around the sides. Your lights control what happens down here as well as in here, as well as your center ring. But nice clean design here. I like this is I'm gonna keep that. I like that this is functional. I can actually use it as a little bit of storage. Upgraded Harman Kardon audio system, and there's a little badging right there. Carry on again. This is a carryover model from last year. It's just what's under the hood that makes the big difference. And let's start the vehicle up. Heads-up display on this vehicle as a paid option. There it is. And it'll tilt back, and you can see your information right there. And yes, you can, oops, let's get that focused. And yes, you can change the height and rotation of it. I like the tilted and telescopic steering wheel, which is, where are we? Right there, because in typical Mini form, the whole instrument cluster moves up and down with the wheel. Obviously, nothing happens to it when you pull the wheel towards you, but I like that it's able to move. It just gives you a nice clear line of sight regardless of how you have the wheel, whether it's up or down. Basic controls here, you have your cruise control and your audios. Very cool little touch and attention to detail. Let's get that in focus. Little John Cooper Works logo at the bottom. Very sharp, very nice. Irk. 2 blank panel switches. I just don't really care for them that much. My 2 cents, you know, I've never liked blank panel switches, and that's my thing. 8.8-inch screen. Why isn't this in focus? Come on. There we go. That's a little better. That's a lot better. Again, typical Mini. Nice circular pattern as far as housing your infotainment system, and got some hard touch buttons, and it's a touch screen as well. So let's go home, for example, and you play around with whatever you want through Mini Connected, and that's how you control that right there. Again, basic controls, and very easy to operate and navigate. And I wish there was a parking brake. This is an irk for me, only because this is the JCW and it's got so much power. I just wish they had a manual parking brake, but I get it. It's all part of the design. You're not going to put a manual parking brake in just for one specific trim of vehicle. Anyways, enough about that. Blank panel switch, not all that great. Oh, going back a few minutes, maybe a minute and a half, the lights also illuminate for your feet as well. I think that's a really cool move. Sorry, the car's a little dirty. It's weather's been kind of ridiculous over the past few days. Standard stuff up here if you're not familiar with the Mini brand. Those are your lights. That's one there. That's both of them, or all 3 of them, sorry. And that's the one on the right side, and that controls your different mood lights. Let's get that in focus a little better. There we go. And you just run through all the colors, and I think the big thing for me is that it shows up here, and it just gives you a really nice extra piece of ambiance in the car. I know I've always kind of liked it. I sound like I swore there. I definitely did not, but it sounded like that. But anyways, so that's your infotainment system. Really easy to operate. Defaults to the clock. It's a screensaver if you don't touch it for a little bit. And aside from that, everything's really nicely done. I'll do a cutaway to a night shot where all this illuminates to the same color as that. It's hard to see during the day, but this is the blue. Actually, there's a better look at it. The light kind of doesn't do well on this specific camera. USB port there, USB port in there. There are my notes. So there's a little bit of storage. Let's get that brought up. You can take a look. Pretty nice. Cool part here, wireless charger in the armrest. It barely fits my iPhone 10, but this does move, and that blue light does come on when your phone's charging. Biggest perk for me, aside from that dirt, I'm gonna get that out of the shot. I love the new gear shift style. It's really cool, and it feels a lot more sturdier than the outgoing model. I just love that it has these 2 little red lines, not like racing stripes, but they're still cool nonetheless. And let's say you want to go and drive, push in on the left side, and then tap it over, you get your manual mode. And in every BMW for the past few years, you can do this, or BMW or Mini, hit park. This one slides over a little slower. You got your paddle shifters here. Thin, plasticky, but hey, they do the job, and that's really all that counts, right? Anyways, that's gonna wrap up the inside. After I talk about this super awesome panoramic dual pane sunroof, very nice touch there. I mean, it's a paid option. Oops, hit the camera. Sunshade is nice. My irk is that it's not completely blacked out, it's meshed out, so you still get some of that sun in there. But hey, you know, not the end of the world. Let's do the drive. 2020 Mini Countryman JCW. This thing is fast. I'm not sure if you can hear it with the microphone, but it is so fast. 301 horsepower, 331 pound-feet of torque, 2-liter turbo engine. Sorry, the camera's shaking a bit. It's a bit of a rough road, but I absolutely love the way that this drives. It's up 73 horsepower and 73 pound-feet of torque over the outgoing model, and it is just a riot to drive. It blends your functionality by having nearly 1,500 liters of cargo space with just a spirited drive, and it's just so mini all over the place. It feels good, it feels tight, it's so responsive, and I love it. I absolutely love the way they've jacked up the 2020 Countryman with so much power and so much responsiveness. Now, with all that good stuff being said, there's still like a tiny bit of lag when you're jumping out from a standstill to get going, and it's not a lot. You know, it's noticeable, but you know, to me, wouldn't make a big difference at all. As far as comfort goes, the seats are pretty good. I gotta say, they're surprisingly comfortable. Usually, racing seats aren't all that, you know, user friendly, but these ones that Mini has put in here, even though every single part of moving the seat is done manually, it's really comfortable. And one perk slash quirk is this has the option to out heated seats, and they get hot really fast. And I gotta say, it's probably the fastest time to heat a seat for any modern car. Navigation and infotainment, very easy to operate, very easy to get all your information out of. No complaints there. Mini's connected system, let's call it the sister system to be able to use iDrive, works beautifully. No issues at all. Again, very intuitive and have come a very, very long way. I've used the manual shifter a little bit, but the paddle shifters are just so crisp and responsive, and that can take away a little bit of that turbo lag that I had previously mentioned. Yes, it's a little on the pricey side. I'll put pricing on that side with it without any options, and I'll also include the options that this vehicle has. I believe, as I come to a stop, because that's the only safe way to read your notes, option 43,000 and a little bit for the non-option out vehicle. I think the way this is, there's about 6,000, 7,000 bucks worth of options in here. I don't know. I think you have to get them all. I think they're all clustered into one group. Anyways, a couple of other quick things. 8-speed automatic, there is no manual, and that is a big irk for me, especially from the Mini brand, it being just such a fun car to drive. 10.1 city, 7.6 on the highway, 9 liters even as far as your combined total. My total has been, let me get to it, 11.6, but I've driven the car pretty hard to make the most of it and just really open it up and just enjoy it. So that's why my totals are a little higher than everything I had just mentioned. Sliding rear seats are awesome. They're great. Interestingly, 0 to 100 in 4.9 seconds. Here's the cool part. Faster than, for the 0 to 100, a Type R, a 370Z Nismo, and a 4-cylinder F-Type. Like, that's some pretty hefty competition. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and that notification bell so you can be alerted to the next time I upload a video. And I'll be back sooner than later with my next review.